Hey guys, it's Waifugate. So today we're going to be doing something a bit different. Normally I talk about bans and restrictions, limitations, all of that stuff for historic standard after they come out. And today we're going to talk about before the bans come out. So that's what this video is going to be. So it's pretty obvious that they're going to be changing a few things in historic. There are two problem decks for the most part right now, and it's your flavor of Field of the Dead with Our Promise. Like, that's very strong now, especially since like Reclamation doesn't keep it in check anymore, like in regards to Expansion Explosion, stuff like that. And then like Bant Scape Shift, those were like the two big decks for a really long time before bans and restrictions. Now, since Teferi 3 has left, it's Teferi 3's suspended right now, which means during the next ban announcement, one of the first things that could happen is Teferi gets the hard ban and he's not going to come back for a while, if ever, right? And then the other thing to be aware of is, the impact on, historic, which has been affected by those bans and limitations that happened previously, and what's going to change this time and how that's going to shape the meta coming up. Because right now it's a lot of Sultai Field of the Dead, and it's just sort of rough, And like, so what's going to happen? A lot of people are predicting like Our Promise ban or Field of the Dead ban, stuff like that. And so going into this, like, basically, if you think Field of the Dead is going to be banned, before the announcements, you can craft those cards and get wild cards potentially. If you think that's going to get banned. If you think that Muxus is going to get banned or something as well, or you've already been playing Goblins, etc., and you think they might be slowing that down, you can craft the Muxus. But the thing is, they might like ban something like Shirk, the Prospector there, the mana engine for it. So if they do that and then you crafted Muxus and the deck's kind of dead, that's a bit of a risk. I think Field of the Dead is a little safer as a craft. And then if they ban Our Promise and you didn't craft the Our Promise, Field of the Dead variants of that are still going to be very strong with like Field of the Dead, Karn, Great Creator with Golos. Like, that ramp's still going to be real if they don't ban Field of the Dead and they ban Our Promise instead. So those are kind of the predictions, is that they're going to touch something with Goblins. I think the smart thing to do would be to ban Prospector, because that's the engine that gets it all going. Who cares if they can't ramp into it, right? Like Muxus on 6, very easy to deal with if they can't ramp. I think that's the smarter ban for Wizards, to do that instead. And then I think that it's very important here. I can actually bring up some of the cards to talk about them here. So what are we talking about? Prospector, MTG. So we've got that here, and then we've got Muxus. These are the cards that we're talking about, right? And then we've got what is the Field of the Dead, MTG, right? It'll pop up in just a second. I know I'm full webcam. I just want to make sure I have it all set up first. I should have done this. Promise, MTG. So this is the other cards. So here are all the cards here. So we've got Shirk Prospector, which is the mana engine, sacrifice a goblin, add a red, right? I think they should ban this because it's an uncommon. This would be a smart thing for them to do. And then to leave Muxus alone. So people kind of wanting to go big red, big goblins or whatever still can, but they won't be able to cheat it out on like turn 4 or something, like with just spamming stuff. They'd still have the treasure goblin, but that doesn't matter because that's like on turn 5 or 6. Like, you can definitely like deal with the goblins before then. But this mana engine's insane. That's what makes it crazy. Then we've got Muxus here. When Muxus Goblin Grindy enters the battlefield to reveal the top 6 cards, put all goblin cards with the converted mana cost of 5 or less onto the battlefield and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. So this is sort of a good card too. Like, this thing makes this card insane. Is the thing. I think I can also do this, so that way we have a bigger picture, like the same type of picture that we had for this. So that's another card, right? And then this one is like obvious, like if you guys have been playing historic, this is Field of the Dead. So whenever the Field of the Dead or another land enters the battlefield under your control, if you control 7 or more lands with different names, create a 2/2 zombie. And the reason why this got popular, like more popular, was A, ban on Teferi, ban on Reclamation. It made this deck a little bit more utilized. Like it's easier to get this going. Game's not as fast if you're not playing against goblins. And in best of 3, it's a little easier to get away with that. And then we've got Our Promise, which is search your library for up to 2 land cards, put them onto the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle your library. Then if you control 3 or more deserts, put 2/2 black zombie. That last part's irrelevant because you're just going to get your zombies from Field of the Dead. You can try to meme around and also have the deserts, but simply put, it's not really worth it for the most part. So if we do get the ban here, or here, and here, or here, if any of these become banned, we're gonna see probably like a huge surge of control decks that come back, like with Gideon's, Pact of Negations, all of that stuff, like hard control, Teferi 5-head maybe, stuff like that. That's really, really hard and obnoxious to deal with, because there won't be a really fast aggro deck to keep it in check for the most part. Burn might pick up if goblins are dead and people are still looking for budget options to just go schmork, like Experimental Frenzy plus Burn and such. One of my viewers submitted a deck earlier today of Burn that they were doing really well in ladder with. I think they said that they had a 70% win rate over 160 games with Burn, something like that. I think it's close. And I mean, that's still a lot of variance can happen in 160 games, but that's more data than a lot of people have in regards to like, my win rate is this much. A lot of people are like, oh yeah, I have an 80% win rate with like 20 games total. And it's like, I've gone, 26-3 with Mono Green Tron and then plummeted to like, 76 and 30 something over the course of 100 games. Like that can keep spreading and getting closer and closer to the win-loss ratio of closer to 50%, but that anyway, that's like just saying that that's a good option. I think would be Burn, that type of deck. There's still mono blue. Like we're probably going to see an influx of control and then an influx of mono blue tempo to counteract the control is my prediction in that regard, like depending on what the bans happen. There's also Jund and Citadel and Golgari Citadel too. And both of those are pretty good and fast with Collected Company to kind of skyrocket you into hitting your land drops with Explorer creatures if you're running Golgari Citadel. I think Crokies was running that for a while. So there is that type of a deal. Collected Company is this. And I don't... Collected Company. MTG. So I think this will come back into play as well. Like, look at the top 6 cards of your library, put 2 creatures with converted mana cost 3 or less from among them onto the battlefield. So like I've seen like merfolks with this to refill their hand basically, or refill the field after a board wipe. We've got Jund Food that uses it for like Mayhem Devils and Priest and stuff, cats, etc. You can like find your combo pieces there. And then we have like Golgari Citadel, which uses it for like Explorer creatures like Jade Light Ranger, etc. And to get Citadel online faster. Lots of good shells for this card as well. So this is another one that like pops out to me as something that should be addressed. I don't think this is insanely powerful. It's good, but I don't think it's bannable because it's not one deck is just overrunning the whole game with it. It's a bunch of different decks, and I think that's what makes it a good card and not completely broken. That makes sense. Whereas like Goblins, this is broken. Like being able to do this on like turn 4 and then threatening to do it again if the opponent board wipes anyway is just insane. Like that deck is way too fast, especially in best of 1. And then like Field of the Dead, for example, you've got a lot of decks that run this too. And I mean, this has been in historic. People have been complaining about this card for a really long time. So it would make sense for Wizards to ban this or Our Promise. So if all of that happens, we're going to see a spike, I think, in control, maybe in the Citadel lists, because that seems like the next best option for power levels, And then to counteract a bunch of control lists running like Gideon, Pact of Negation, Teferi, Bant Ramp, just in general, like ramping into like Eugene and stuff, and like ECDs. We'll probably see that more in historic as well as it is in standard right now, where it's kind of popular too. And then Collected Company, just makes those Citadel decks even better. Now, how will we get bans and restrictions on standard again? I don't know. I think they're probably going to leave that alone for a little bit. It seems like Clover is very popular right now still. Like we can go to MTG Goldfish real quick and check the list just to make sure I'm not talking out of my, you know, so to speak. So you got Sultai Control, Tamir Adventures. Yeah, Sultai Ramp is the big one with Tamir Adventures, and the Sultai hits the Tamir. This is insane. 30% of like most of the tournaments and stuff have been Sultai Ramp. That's pretty crazy. Tamir Elementals, Mardu Winota. Okay, so it's pretty much the same as it was before with some tempo. Is it tempo? And like wears off Yori, and this counteracts the control list sometimes. Kind of interesting that that deck's doing really well. Mono red Cavalcade for a budget option. Oh man, what if they ban Eugene, dude? What's Ramp gonna do then? I mean, this isn't even running Eugene actually. That's pretty crazy. It's just Tamio, Nissa, and stuff. What if they ban Nissa and standard? Will Ramp still exist? But yeah, so maybe they'll touch something. Maybe they'll touch Nissa or they'll touch Uro or something. I'm not sure. It's going to be interesting to see. So many graphs main deck. Wait, where's that sideboard? Yeah, it was sideboard. One grasp sideboard. I thought I saw 3 sideboard here, or 3 main deck. But yeah, that's what I think will happen. Not really sure if they'll touch anything in standard. My predictions is they'll probably leave it alone for the most part, since they just changed a lot there. And they're kind of waiting in Historic to see how the Teferi and the Reclamation hit would go through. So with that being said, thank you guys for checking out the video. Hope this was a little informative. We'll try to get back to doing some deck guides as well pretty soon. So really appreciate you guys being awesome and checking out the video. And if you guys want to leave any comments below, any questions, what you think will happen with the ban list, or the restrictions and bans and such for standard or historic, any predictions, feel free to toss those in the comments below or drop by my stream. Usually stream just about every day. This coming week it will be just about every day, so usually around 2 p.m. Central Time. So appreciate you guys. I'll catch you guys for the next video.